with ventures, and we are now looking at insurance. And insurance becomes a very, very important concept. Why? Because it's in the event of something taking place, in case something takes place. When we look at insurance, we are looking at concepts, first and foremost. We are also understanding that when we look at insurance concepts, learners do confuse the concept of underinsurance with average clause. They go hand in hand, but they are not the same thing. So you will see when we are looking at the average clause concept, I want to say to you that to make it simple for you, the minute you see the word clause, the first thing that needs to come to your mind is average clause. There's no other clause in business studies. But when it comes to your average clause, you need to be able to name the clause and make that clause applicable to the scenario that you have, which means if there is a clause, you need to be able to calculate something. So first things first, we are looking at what clause this is. We're looking at the statement in terms of what is the concept. When we look at the scenario, you've got pro cover insurance. You have Yolanda that owns a holiday house in Durban and it is valued at 2 million. Sure, I wish I was Yolanda. She insured her house with pro cover insurers for 1.5. So automatically, the first thing you do is you look at the fact that it is valued at 2 million, but she only insured it for 1 million. So there is a difference. A fire in the main bedroom caused damages of 100,000 rand. She submitted a claim to PCI for the full amount of damages. Now be careful, grade 12s. We are understanding the fact that that is the average clause. And you'll be awarded 2 marks. Remember, it's the only clause in business studies. So it's known as the average clause. And because we're working with averages, it must have something to do with the values in the scenario. Because the very next question states, elaborate on the insurance concept identified in 3.1. This is going to be for 4 marks. Remember, your cognitive verb is elaborate. Elaborate, split ticks. And we are looking at the insurance concept. Average clause. First things first, 4 marks, split ticks. Talk to me about average clause by elaborating on it. Average clause. A stipulation by the insurer. So we have the first hurdle here. We have the insurer and we have the insured. That's very important. The insurer, who is insuring Yolanda's holiday house? Pro cover. That is a stipulation by the insurer, pro cover, which is applicable when property or goods is underinsured. And when we look at underinsurance, we're stating that the property is valued at 2 million, but Yolanda is only insuring it for 1.5 million. Let's be clear. We are elaborating on average clause. will pay for insured loss or damages. The insurer will pay for the insured loss/damages in proportion to the insured value. The insured, which is the person, in this case, it is Yolanda, she is insured, will be personally liable for the part of the risk that was not covered by the insurer, pro cover. So again, we're dealing with the insurer and the insured. So the insurer will pay. You have suffered loss or damages in the main bedroom due to the fire. You have got insurance because Pro Cover is covering you, and they're covering you for 1.5 million. But the portion that is not covered, you as the insured will have to pay because the insurer, Pro Cover insurers, will not cover it. So I am telling you, by elaborating on the average clause of what it is, I'm giving you more in-depth explanation of the average clause. 4 marks, it means I need to have 2 full complete sentences, and elaborate is split ticks. So therefore, I state something, in this case, a stipulation set by the insurer. So Pro Cover has stipulated which is applicable when the property or goods is underinsured. In this case, Yolanda is underinsured. Look at the market value, look at what the house she insured. Split ticks, average clause concept. Now we're going to look at calculating this amount based on your average clause. So we've identified the clause. We've given a more in-depth explanation about what this clause means. And now we're asking you to calculate the amount that Pro Cover, the insurers, will pay Yolanda for the damages that she suffered. Again, you see the word calculation. Now you want to run for the hills. No, 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 no. You've got this, grade 12s. Use the information from your scenario. Remember, we have a formula. As it is stipulated in the case study, we are looking at the information provided. What was the very first amount that she gave, or what was given in the scenario? 2 million. That is what she was insured for. There was an amount of which 1.5 million she insured her own house for. And then we have the damages. Now, when we look at our calculation, we need to be very clear. The amount insured, what did Yolanda, the first person, she's the owner of the house. What did she insure her own property for? Remember, the owner comes first. And the owner suffered the loss. So therefore, we need to take the amount that Yolanda insured her holiday house for. Remember, the owner comes first. She made the call of 1.5 million. And then she suffered the damage or loss. So we multiplied the amount insured, multiplied by the amount of damage. divided by the value of the insured item. Again, please remember your substitution, your 1.5 million multiplied by your 100,000, which is damages or loss, divided by your 2 million. Gives you the amount of 7,500. Again, grade 12s. It's a calculation, but it's calculating the average clause. I'm putting the average clause into action. The owner comes first. She bought the house. She owns the house. She decides how much she's going to insure it for. But then the owner suffered loss or damage. So we need to multiply that by that loss. And then, because she was clever, she insured it. Because she knew in the event of something happening, she may lose it. But the market value is 2 million. That's not something that you can determine, nor can you determine the loss of the fire until it's happened. So remember, the owner comes first because she's insured, then we have the damage, and then we have the value of the insured item. 4 marks, take note. 1 mark for your formula. Please, grade 12s, even if you don't know how to do the calculation, learn the formula off by heart so that you can write the formula down and obtain a mark. Then you can substitute your values. You're going to obtain 1 mark and 2 marks for the answer. Please don't just write the answer down. Show us how you obtain the answer. 4 marks, you show all of your calculations. Now we're moving on to 3.1.4. Explain to Yolanda the reason or the reasons why she did not qualify for the full amount of damages. Again, grade 12s, split ticks because it's explain, and it is for 2 marks. When we look at the reasons why she did not qualify, remember, it's average clause being applied, averaging it out. She insured her house for less. She insured it for 1.5 million. Then what the market value was at 2 million. Second reason, she was underinsured. Thus, the average clause was applied. Again, it is submax of 2. Remember, average clause and underinsurance goes hand in hand. However, the reason is because of the fact that she was underinsured, we had to apply the average clause concept. Her house, she insured the owner, first person, insured it for 1.5, but the market value was at 2 million. Average clause, remember when you calculate it, do not use the incorrect formula of dividing the market value by the insured value. If your final answer is incorrect, you can still obtain marks, which in this case is 1, for providing the formula and showing your working out. So the minute you see there is a calculation under insurance as a heading, you look and see if you see the word clause. Then you know that it's dealing with average clause, and average clause is linked to underinsurance. There's a formula for average clause. And then you see what the question is asking you to do. Don't run. Run into the question, highlight, know the things that you're talking about from the scenario, and then apply it to your questions. Now we're looking at concepts. Concepts within insurance. Grade 12s. Do not confuse the meaning of excess with shares. Why? This is a concept that was asked for the first time in the 2021 National Senior Certificate exam, and it was particularly asked in Section A. Learners, you can expect to see it appear under Section B for 4 to 6 marks. This is you, the learner, reading a scenario and being asked to elaborate on the meaning of the insurance concept. Elaborate, split ticks. Each concept would be awarded a submax of 4 marks. Split ticks, explaining, elaborating more on what excess is. Excess is the amount. Okay, let's first go, I apologize. Let's first go through the scenario. Sam's computer was insured for 6,000 with an excess payment of 500 Rand. When it was stolen, the insurer paid out 550 Rand. 5,500 to Sam for a new computer. Sam's computer was insured for 6,000 and the excess payment of 500 Rand. The excess is the amount that the insured agrees to pay should they claim for the loss/damages. Now remember, grade 12s, this is the excess. You know when you go to a farm and you pick X amount of cherries or apples, and the customer or the client only wants 100, and you've picked, let's say, 200 apples. There is an excess. And this excess, you do what with? In the form of insurance, excess is what you agree the insured to pay. So Sam agreed to pay the 500 Rand because he claimed for his stolen laptop, computer. Therefore, the insurer paid him 5,500 Rand because the computer was insured for 6,000 Rand. But Sam pays the 500 Rand because it is excess. Excess payments keep the insurance premiums lower and they discourage fraud. Again, split ticks, elaborate on the concept excess. Please take note of where the mark allocation is. It is 4, it is submax. First half of the sentence, the insured agrees to pay, and then at the end of the sentence, for the loss or damage. In this case, Sam's computer was stolen. He suffered a loss. So he pays the first 500 and the insurance company pays the 5,500 so that Sam can purchase a new computer. The next concept is reinstatement. Reinstatement. I'm elaborating further on the reinstatement concept. It is a stipulation whereby the insurer may replace lost, damaged property / goods instead of reimbursing the insured. Now, please remember, if you don't understand the concept, you're going to find it difficult to apply this in practice. If we look at reinstatement, reinstatement is a stipulation where the insurer, so whoever Sam used as his company, as his insurance company, they can decide whether they want to replace the stolen computer instead of paying him the 5,500 rand. The stipulation is applicable when the computer, in this case, property, was over-insured. Now we're dealing with over-insurance. Reinstate. You lost your computer. I'm now looking to give you what you lost back, but I can choose to replace it instead of reimbursing you, the insured. Sam. 4 marks, split ticks, because it's elaborate. (3.3) Explain the differences between over and under insurance. Just like in question 2, where we dealt with distinguish between. Now I'm looking for you to be able to explain to me the differences between 2 concepts. Again, grade 12s, please be very careful here. When we explain differences, we must be able to look at the concept and explain it in depth, and we are going to look at the 2 concepts, over-insurance, under-insurance. 8 marks. So therefore, I'm looking for 4 under over-insurance and 4 under-insurance. Again, my cognitive verb is explain. Split ticks. When I look at over-insurance, the insured insures the asset possessions for more than the market value. Look at Sam's case. His computer, he insured for 6,000 rand. The insurer paid out 5,500. When I look at over-insurance, I'm going to insure it for more than what it's going to cost me to go and replace that computer. When I look at under-insurance, I'm now looking at the insured insures the asset for less than the market value. If you look at Yolanda, she owns a holiday house. It's valued at 2 million. but she only insured it for 1.5. It's less than the market value. Take note, the very first part of the sentence under both concepts remains exactly the same. The only difference between the two is when I am over, look at the O, it is more than market value. When I look at under insurance, I'm looking at the less. Look at the L. It's got a long tail, but then it's got a short L. Where the O is more, it's bigger, it's bold. The insurer will apply reinstatement when you are overinsured to compensate you for the losses that you would have incurred. When I look at underinsurance, I'm now going to apply the average clause. And when you apply that average clause, you, as the insured, submit a claim. So you stipulate you lost this, or it was stolen, or it's broken, and you have suffered this loss and damage. When I am underinsured, I'm applying the average clause. I need to average out what it's going to cost. When I apply overinsurance, I apply the reinstatement. So you are overinsured. I'm now going to reimburse you for what you lost. Submax 4 for each concept. Reinstatement, average clause. Overinsurance, the O is more than market value. Underinsurance, you're under the water, and it is an L. You're going to be insured for less than the market value. The L is short, it's small. When we study, it is very important to remember that the principles of insurance need to be studied first before focusing on the differences. Just like when we look at insurance, when we look at concepts, you need to be able to understand the concepts first before you can apply them or elaborate on them. When you are studying the principles of insurance, you need to study that first. Then you focus on differentiating between insurance and assurance. Now, when we look at insurance, I always teach my learners, it's a concept and I need to be able to discuss it. We are all clear on indemnification in case something happens. When you go on a school outing, you need to sign an indemnity form. That indemnity form lasts for that excursion or that outing. Therefore, it's going to apply for now, short term. We are looking at indemnification as a principle of insurance. As the insured is compensated for the specified, proven harm or loss. So when you're on an outing or an excursion, you sign that indemnity form. You go on the outing and let's say you weren't listening to the teacher and you snuck off and you cut your finger or you broke your leg. Insurance will cover that for now because it's short term, right? When we look at indemnification, in the event of something happening, a fire breaking out and you are harmed, or you fall down the stairs, we have short-term insurance that will cover you specifically when there is proven harm or loss. Indemnification protects the insured against the specified event that may occur. It's not to say that it will occur. It's in the event of something happening. You will have short-term cover. 4 marks discussing the principle of insurance. Indemnification is the first one. Short term, it's going to potentially happen anytime now. You're compensated, but you must prove what you suffered, what you lost, and you are protected against the specified event should there be a fire. Security. Grade 12s. We all know at malls and at some schools we have security to protect us. When we look at security, please don't think we're talking about the security guards. This is security in terms of insurance. The principle of security on long-term insurance. It's in the event of I'm retiring, I'm going to lose my life. The people that I'm leaving behind are the people that need the financial security. You depend on finances to keep you going. So when we look at security, we're looking at a long-term insurance. You know that you're going to retire eventually one day. One day in the future, there's a possibility that you're going to die, but you don't know when. But it is inevitable. It's going to take place. When we talk about security, we're talking about providing financial security to the insured. At the age of retirement, or if dependents, you are dependent of somebody that has passed away. Again, I'm going to say to you, grade 12s, the principle of indemnification, in case something happens, is short-term insurance, while security is going to take a very long time for you to get there. So it's long-term insurance. And when it comes to each of these principles, you must have an in-depth understanding of all 4, I'm reiterating, all 4 principles of insurance, and be advised that these principles form part of an insurance contract. Now I'm going to say to you, ma'am, you spoke about 4 principles. We have dealt with indemnification, security. The other 2 is insurable interest, and yes, you've got it, you've got it, you've got it. Drum roll, utmost good faith. All those 4 principles are included in principles are included in the insurance contract. I'm going to repeat. Security, indemnification. In case the I is short, it's small, where the S takes a very long time to get down to the bottom. Indemnification, short-term insurance. Security, long-term insurance, where it is an agreed amount in the event of loss. 4 marks, split ticks, because you are discussing the principles of insurance. We now move on to 3.5. Grade 12s, again, I'm going to reiterate. Distinguish between insurance and assurance. I read the question carefully. I don't just read the first part, I read the second part as well. So it's not just distinguishing between insurance and assurance. We also need to give one example of each to support your answer. Now you see there it is 10 marks. You are distinguishing between two principles and you're giving an example to support how you are distinguishing between the concepts. You first write your concepts down. Insurance and assurance. Remember, insurance, in case something happens to you now. I don't know whether something's going to happen, but when I refer to assurance, the A takes a very long time to get to the top and a very long time to get to the bottom. You are going to retire, but later in life. Therefore, the first distinguishable concept is the insurance principle is based on indemnification and assurance is based on the principle of security, certainty. You will die somewhere along the line. You will retire somewhere along the line, but you have life cover that covers you in the form of assurance. Take note, split ticks. Insurance, it covers a specified event, fire, that may occur. Assurance specified the event is certainty. You are going to die, you're going to retire, but I have no idea when, so I don't know the time of the event, and therefore it is uncertain. The specified event will take place. You can retire at 65 and in some cases 60, early retirement. So that is a given, but we don't know what the time is, and therefore the event is uncertain. Whereas insurance, the event covers specified details. In the event of a fire, in the event of goods are stolen. I'm specifying the event that may or may not occur. Example, fire. For insurance, we don't know when a fire could break out, but it certainly is a reality. When I look at assurance, an example, funeral insurance. We know we're going to die, we just don't know when we're going to die. Again, 1 mark for the example, 4 marks for the distinguish between. Take note, when I speak about the principle of insurance, I'm speaking about the principle of assurance. So I am creating the link. Submax 5 for insurance, submax 5 for assurance. A total of 10 marks. Again, please do not confuse concepts. Be very clear on your concepts and make sure that you understand indemnification based on short term. In the event of something taking place, the I is small. Security, very long S, long-term insurance. And all of this will be found in an insurance contract as principles of insurance. 3.6. I'm going to make myself very clear on this one because learners tend to think they can just write until their heart's content. Distinguish between insurable and non-insurable risks. Firstly, the question continues. We don't stop reading and we say, oh, I must now distinguish. Draw a quick table and then go. And then we forget about the examples because they're looking at two very specific examples and it's two for each. First thing. Second thing, when we compare, we need to make sure that a clear distinction is made between insurable and non-insurable risks. Focus on the word risks, not on assets, so that you don't confuse the insurable and the non-insurable risks with the types of assets that should be insured. Let's go and have a look and see what we're talking about. Remember, the question is distinguish between insurable, non-insurable risks. Be very clear on this, grade 12s. We need to make sure that we're focusing on that risks. So when we talk about insurable risks, we're talking about insurance companies taking on the risk because they would insure, depending on the likelihood of an event. When something is non-insurable, it means the insurance company would not insure it because the cost is simply just too high or the risk is far too great. Again, it is 8 marks. The second part of the sentence made it clear we need to give 2 examples of each. In the event of something happening in South Africa, we do have very high crime statistics. So therefore, the likelihood of something being stolen is very good. But a fire can also break out. We deal with electronics in our house and there could be a short that could burn our houses down. So therefore, they can insure that. When we talk about non-insurable risks, I always say to my learners, I cannot insure something that is so expensive. And I use the example of their clothes. Their taste in clothes, here today, gone tomorrow. I cannot insure something that's going to change all the time. I cannot insure if there is a change in fashion. I wear my Levi's today and tomorrow I wear my Nike pants. I can't. It's going to cost me too much. The risk is there and it's going to happen, and that makes it so high in terms of risk. When a war breaks out, we're using weapons. Look at the Russia-Ukraine war. They are using weapons of mass destruction. Their intent is to cause damage, and therefore you're going to suffer a loss. It is inevitable. So therefore, as an insurance company, I won't take on that risk because the risk is too high. It's going to happen. We just don't know when. Distinguish between insurable and non-insurable. There's things I can insure, there's things I cannot insure. For 8 marks, 4 submax for insurable risks, submax for non-insurable risks. Take note, split ticks. Insurable, I would insure. Non-insurable, I'm not going to insure. Take note of the examples, 1 per each example. .7, we're looking at the discussion of the importance of insurance for businesses. We're not talking about the individual, we're talking about the business. And the business has insurance, but why is it important? Now give me a discussion. Now we are discussing split ticks, 8 marks. How many facts do I need to give? Yes, I can see you there in the back row. You're telling me your hand is up. It is 4 facts. Well done. Grade 12s, it's really important that we remember we mustn't overwrite. We need to look at the mark allocation and remind ourselves it's 8 marks for 4 facts. 4 full facts. Please take note of the trend that you're going to pick up here now. I'm looking for the importance. Why must I have insurance as a business? I need protection. What do you need protection from? I need protection as a business against somebody breaking in, someone stealing my stock, someone damaging my property due to a flood. Look at the floods in KZN. Look at the looting that took place. Businesses need protection from natural disasters, but it protects the business. Please take note again. I'm starting with protects businesses against dishonest employees. It's all about the importance. Why does a business need insurance? It's about protection. It's about protection of what I have, what I own, and people that work for me. Should they be dishonest, I need to be protected against that. Take note. How many sentences do I have? How many marks? Split ticks. Discussion. Discuss the importance. Protects the businesses from claims made by members of the public for, wait for it, damages that the business is responsible for. Your business truck rides into my car. I'm a member of the public. Your company needs to pay for my repairs. They claim it from the business insurance. Why? Because the business is protected against claims. Protects business against losses due to the death of a debtor. Again, I'm going to point out it's protection, protects. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about the protection. What I have, I need to protect because I can suffer a loss, because I can suffer damage. And when I look at insurance, I have things which is going to cost me a lot of money if it was taken from me. Therefore, when I buy my Ferrari or my Audi TT, I have taken on a very big risk. And that risk could cost me millions if something happens to it. So therefore, I'm taking the risk and I'm transferring the risk from the business to the insurance company because they are going to insure it. So should I buy very heavy and expensive machinery? If something goes wrong, I've asked the insurance company to cover the risk. So I've transferred the risk from my factory or my business to an insurance company. So I become the insured because the insurer, the insurance company, is insuring should I suffer loss or damage. I'm transferring, I transfer the risk based on terms and conditions, which is stipulated in the insurance contract. Remember grade 12, the insurance contract is legal and binding. Terms and conditions have to be stipulated, but it has to be stipulated and both parties need to agree on it. Remember, you go for the ones that you can remember easily. Don't go for the ones that you are going to struggle with. Go for the ones that are short, but you can remember and make a story in your head. We're moving on to question 3.8. We're still under insurance. We've been given a scenario, and that scenario is important because there is information that you need to identify. So we're first going to look at our question. 3.8.1, identify is highlighted in terms of underlining. You need to take it from the scenario. What do you need to take from the scenario? You need to take the compulsory insurances that is payable by Electrical Ltd. Again, I refer to Ltd. I'm looking for 2 compulsory insurances. But grade 12's the question continues. Motivate your answer by quoting from the scenario above. Don't go and think you've studied your content and now you're just going to write any 2. Grade 12s, you're going to get it wrong. You have to identify it from the scenario because you need to motivate by quoting. So we're going to look at the case study scenario. Electric core offer electrical repair services to households and businesses. Have you noticed that it's got no bearing on our answer yet? Because the question says they want 2 compulsory insurances. It's making a statement. This company does electrical repair services, not just to households, but to businesses. Great. Each electrician is allocated a company vehicle to travel to clients. Whoa, hashtag neon lights. Remember, compulsory insurances. The company, Electric Core, is allocating a company vehicle to travel to clients. Hashtag neon lights. Very important. One of the electricians sustained an injury during the performance of her duties. Hashtag super important. Remember, in the line of duty, you sustained an injury. Those 2 sentences should both ring a bell to you. Company vehicle and sustained injuries during your performance at the job. Let's go and have a look. Can you tell me what the 2 compulsory insurances are? Yes, I can see it in your eyes. You know it. Don't second guess yourself. Write it down. Go. Even if you're wrong, grade 12s, write it down so that we know where you are, so that we can work with what you know. Go for it. I want 2 compulsory insurances. Remember vehicle. Remember injuries while you are doing the job. Let's go. Road Accident Fund, otherwise known as RAF. Ladies and gentlemen, you can also refer to it as the Road Accident Benefit Schemes, RABs. Why? It's linking directly to the use of the vehicle which your electricians are using to go to their clients. Please take note, the full sentence is quoted for 1 mark. Now, guess what? I know, I can see you sitting there and you have written, allocated a company vehicle to travel to clients. Stop. Cover yourself and write in there, each electrician is allocated. You might not think it's important, but grade 12s, even when you're practicing now, it becomes super important that you write the full complete sentence down. Are you finished with the question? Thank you. You're not. Well done. We now need to look at the second compulsory insurance. Remember, when we're working with injuries, when we're working with diseases, there is what we call a piece of legislation called COIDA. Please, 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 please remember, we're not dealing with paper 1 here. We're dealing with paper 2. And here we're looking under compulsory insurances. Yes, you were correct. You can just write COIDA as an abbreviation or an acronym. But grade 12s, please remember you have to write the acronym correctly. Second of all, if you're going to write compensation for occupational injuries and diseases fund, please remember that you must write it out correctly. When explaining COIDA as a type of compulsory insurance, do not explain the compensation fund in context of an act where the penalties for non-compliance are applied. It appears that some of you are confusing COIDA with RAF and UIF as a type of compulsory insurance. Just be careful. Now you've made the same mistake as what you did with RAF with the motivation, and you've just said injury during performance of her duties. Grade 12s, we're talking about who? We're talking about the electrician. Sustained an injury during the performance of her duties. Please, practice makes perfect. And if you're going to paraphrase here during practice, I guarantee you're going to paraphrase during your final or your trial exam. Please write out the full complete sentence. Again, look at your mark allocation. Make sure that you are looking where to write what. 3.8.2. Discuss the types of compulsory insurance identified in 3.8.1. Look at the cognitive verb. I'm looking for the type of compulsory insurance and I'm looking for 8 marks worth. But guess what? It's a discussion. So how many points do I give? Yes. To the left of the classroom. 4 points. Well done. 8 marks total. What are we looking for? Split ticks, ma'am. Great stuff. Now we're looking at your road accident fund. We're looking, or you can look at road accident benefit scheme. Remember, you're benefiting from the scheme. Compensation in the line of duty, you were injured. So therefore, you're being compensated for your injuries. RAF, it insures road users. You are using the road. You're traveling from client to client. Should there be somebody en route to a client that is negligent, you are going to be covered. When we look at RAF or RABS, it is funded by a levy. Every single time your mom, your dad, your auntie, your uncle fill up with fuel, petrol, or diesel, you are paying a levy. And that levy is funded or claimed upon when there is negligence of road users. Again, 8 marks. How many marks do we need for road accident? How many do we need for COIDA? Compensates the employees for injuries and diseases occurred at work. Grade 12s, you cannot be compensated for you and your dad working outside, building a table, and the drill goes through your hand. That is not going to be allowed. You won't be able to claim from it. When you're at your place of work and you're performing your duties and an injury or a disease occurs, then you can claim compensation. You as an employee do not have to contribute to this fund at all. 8 marks, more for road accident or road benefit scheme, and 4 for COIDA. Discussion, split ticks. Take note of where the split ticks are going. Again, look at your question. Discuss the types of compulsory insurance. What must I have? We're moving on to 8.3. Again, I'm going to point out to you that we are discussing a benefit as a type of benefit paid out by the Unemployment Insurance Fund, otherwise known as UIF. Now let's just take a minute to read what benefit that we're going to pay out. What benefit are we looking at there? No, not pregnancy benefit. We're looking at maternity benefit. Maternity benefit as a discussion and how this benefit is going to be paid out. 4 marks, a discussion. How many points? Yes. Right, front row. Correct. 2 points, 4 marks. Full sentences. When you are pregnant, an employee will receive benefits for how long? Not 4 months, no, 4 consecutive months. And it's split tick. If an employee has had a miscarriage, so she's lost the baby, she can claim up to 6 weeks, 42 days. Remember, we're talking about the Unemployment Insurance Fund, but we are discussing one benefit, and that is the benefit of maternity as a benefit, not as a leave. We're not in paper 1. We're in paper 2. We're looking at the Unemployment Insurance Fund, and we're discussing the maternity benefit. Please don't just say 4 months. 4 months means nothing, because when we look at legislation, BCA says it is 4 consecutive months up to, and it's a benefit that you receive when you are pregnant, or if you've had a miscarriage, and you can claim up to 6 weeks. That brings us to the end of question 3. I look forward to dealing with question 4 just now.